The universe was in turmoil. Amidst the darkness, a ray of hope emerged. Matrix Rico, a cold-blooded intergalactic ultramarine with a bad attitude. An 8-bit classic to a 90s action phenomenon. Nukem Rico is up next. Only on StarPlanet, The Forgotten Chapters.
The multiverse is infinite, with a never-ending supply of stories, and these are the Forgotten Chapters.
Greetings, true champions of the cause. Welcome to StarPlanet, The Forgotten Chapters. I am your host, the tenebrous Arius Valo. In this captivating episode of Forgotten Chapters, join us as we embark on a journey into the fantastical realm of Nukem Rico, a legendary late 90s video game franchise hailing from the intriguing Universe 8870. Released by Sega on the 13th of October 1991, gracing the beloved Sega Master System. Now, in the alternate reality of Universe 8870, Sega emerged triumphant in the gaming wars, acquiring and assimilating its rival Nintendo into the grand Sega empire. All thanks to the seismic impact of the release of Sonic the Hedgehog and the enduring success of the classic juggernaut, Nukem Rico. To create this 2D masterpiece, the game's programmer Haruto Kagawa drew inspiration from the powerhouse performances of Arnold Schwarzenegger's action-packed movies. This led to Arnold Schwarzenegger himself, starring in the 1994 blockbuster movie adaptation of the game series, spawning 5 sequels, a live-action TV series starring Luke Booker, 4 seasons of a Saturday morning cartoon series, toys, and an ongoing comic book series published by Marvel Comics. But today we are spotlighting the 3rd chapter of the novelization, inspired by the groundbreaking first video game, written by Scott Adam Hart, and with cover art by Nanali Jangwei. Let's dive into the 3rd chapter of Nukem Rico, Book 1. Rico paced, back and forth, same 10 steps, over and over. The chill of the concrete seeped through his boots. His breath was hot with frustration, his jaw set tight. It was taking too long, way too long. Every minute stretched like a noose. His thoughts kept circling Sasha, trapped, hurt, worse, and Helberto's twisted face kept flashing through his head like a looping glitch. He'd memorized every inch of the warehouse by now. The corroded beams overhead, the smell of rust and ozone, the humming server stacks lining the walls. The place was a tomb. Every second stretched like wire pulled taut. He glanced at Axon, who sat motionless in the glow of half a dozen monitors, his face washed in cold light. The glow made his skin look ghost white, like a man halfway between human and code. His fingers danced over the keyboard like he was composing some symphony only machines could hear. Then the sound came. Clunk. Hiss. The warehouse roller door began to rise. A low thrum filled the space, and a sleek black hovercar slid under the threshold, smooth and ominous like a shark gliding into bloodied water. Drake. Smooth as ever, its headlights pierced the dim interior, casting long shadows across crates, scaffolding, and steel beams. Rico moved to the door controls and brought it back down behind the vehicle, sealing the world out with a hard mechanical thud. The hovercar eased to a stop. Red taillights bled through the shadows like warning flares, casting demonic glows across the walls. Then, hiss. The driver's side door lifted, and Drake emerged like he was stepping onto a stage. Black jacket, black gloves, sunglasses even now, smirk like a man who'd just robbed a god. "All right," he said, strolling to the back. "Ho, ho, ho. Call me Santa Claus, Rico. I come bearing gifts." He walked to the back of the vehicle and popped the trunk. Rico joined him. Inside, chaos wrapped in chrome. Scanner dampeners lined the upholstery. High-end military-grade disruptors, enough to hide a warhead from an orbital scan. Drake tapped a hidden panel. Click, and a secret compartment slid open. Weapons, rows of them, gleaming, modified, forbidden. "You're gonna need some firepower where you're going, big guy," says Drake. Rico raised an eyebrow. "What the hell, Drake? Is that a—" "Yep," Drake interrupted proudly. 36 Series Rayman. Picked it up for a good price, too. "This kind of firepower is on the streets?" Rico's voice was low, uneasy. Drake scoffed. That's kiddie stuff. Check this out." He lifted a massive piece of tech from the hidden space, sleek and brutal looking. A Pinpine 80 caliber Rainmaker, shoulder-mounted laser cannon, smuggled out of Alista 3 after the Colonial Uprising. Rico took it. It was heavier than it looked, coated in matte black plating, humming faintly. "This thing's banned in over 3,000 sectors." "I know," Drake said casually. "That's why it's fun." He began ticking off items like a kid on Christmas morning. A Hawks 44 sidearm, a Logie 500 Ray 6, Barrett G88 LC laser rifle, Warner assault blaster with a Viper-class kill scope. Oh, and this little beast. He held up a long, matte black rifle with silver trim. A 13-99 BK-class sniper rifle. Careful with that one. Kicks like a horse on growth hormones. Rico's eyes widened as he spotted a row of spherical charges. "Are those cluster grenades?" "Oh yeah," Drake said casually. "With launchers. Plus lock-and-pop drone bombs. Real smart tech." Then Drake leaned in and opened another panel tucked into the side wall of the trunk. A holographic keypad blinked to life. He tapped in a code, 7094, and with a hiss, a second compartment slowly rose. Inside, 2 full sets of military-grade heavy armor. Jet black, matte finish, ultramarine titanium grade shell plating, military hide weave, shimmering refractor layering across the surface. The kind used in deep-sea black ops or orbital breach missions. Absolutely illegal in the hands of civilians. "Don't this stuff bring back memories?" Drake said, grinning. "Got it real cheap, too." Rico took a step back. "This shouldn't even be on the black market, Drake. The weapons are bad enough. But this? It's military only. You could be executed just for having it." "Yeah, cool, huh?" smiles Drake. "Relax, Rico. When I say I got it cheap, I mean I stole it. 5-finger discount. These babies, personal collection. Think of it like breaking open the good whiskey for an old friend." Rico blinked. "You stole it?" "Don't look so shocked," Drake said, his voice low, almost proud. "You remember where I come from, what I was trained to do." Rico looked him over, a strange mix of awe and concern in his eyes. "Once a Cobra," Drake said, tapping his chest. "Always a Cobra." Rico shook his head, a reluctant smile tugging at his lips. "You're insane." Drake shrugged. "You say that like it's a bad thing." Rico glanced back at the weapons. "I appreciate it, Drake. But how the hell am I supposed to carry all this?" "Glad you asked." Drake reached to the back and pulled out 2 small black cases. Inside were spherical devices, smooth black orbs suspended in stabilizing foam. Each one pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat trapped in darkness. "Void carriers," Drake said proudly. "Series 8, Soviet tech. Bit older than what you're used to, but mean as hell. Strap these to the armor, program in what you want. They'll spawn or respawn your loadout on command. Shoulder cannon, sniper rifle, cluster bombs. You won't feel a thing till you need it. You could carry a small armory in your sleeve." Rico lifted one. The surface felt impossibly cold. He could feel the hum of power, like a tiny universe living inside. "You have spawn tech?" Rico said sharply. "Do you know what happens if this stuff falls into the wrong hands?" "It already has, Rico. Drake said. "You're looking at them." He pulled out 2 more cases. Slim, heavy, with reinforced grips and military lock sealed. 2 military-grade infantry spawners, the kind used to instantly materialize full squads on a battlefield. Rico's eyes widened. "How the hell did you get these?" Rico's voice was low, almost drowned by the hum of the old power converters buzzing in the dark corner of the hangar. He stared at the tech like it might grow teeth. "This is Black Ops level. Ghost Protocol. Ghost of the Ghost." Drake just grinned. Not the kind of grin that said, "I'm proud of myself," no. It was the kind of grin that said, "I've done worse, and liked it." "Pretty neat, right?" he said, running a hand over the glossy surface of the device like it was a pet snake. "Should ring a bell. You've seen these before, Rico?" Rico squinted, tension growing behind his eyes like a migraine. "What are you talking about?" Drake leaned in, his voice a whisper pulled from a dusty vault. "Think back. 8 years. Mars. That red dust storm that swallowed everything. Remember that military outpost? The one hijacked by that Martian rebel outfit?" Rico's stomach turned. "Red Spear." The words left his mouth like a bad taste. "That was a blackout mission. No survivors. No leaks. How do you even—" Drake gave a short, joyless laugh, like someone remembering a joke told at a funeral. "Because I was there, Rico." The silence that followed felt alive. "You were what?" Rico said, taking a step back like the words were radiation. "Yeah," Drake said with a little shrug. "The Red Spear boys were looking to buy. First-generation Javelin fighters. Not many of those on the black market, so hot as hell. I was in the hangar sealing the deal when you bastards came in guns blazing." Rico blinked, then stared at the devices again, like they'd just hissed at him. "Those were your Javelins?" "Oh, they were," Drake said, eyes narrowing. "And you meatheads blew them sky high. Cost the Siren Clan more than a few zeros." "But how did you—" Rico started. "Same way I always have," Drake said, voice going colder. "Cobra blood, remember? I jumped uniforms like snakes shed skin. Killed your guys. Slipped on their gear. Killed their guys. And when I walked out of that place, I had these beauties under each arm. Walked right past you, Rico. You even looked at me." Rico's throat went dry. His eyes drifted down to the serial numbers on the tech, burned into his memory like a bad dream. "These were the ones we used to spawn in." Drake snorted. "Yeah, and that American flag headband you wore made you look like a roided-up G.I. Joe doll." Rico's jaw slackened. "Jesus Christ, you were there." A new voice cut through the heavy air like a blade. "If you two are done jerking each other off, I'm ready to go." Axon shouted over the computer screen, his face lit by the sickly glow of his rig. They both turned. Drake smiled and nodded toward Rico. "Told you he was good. Suit up, or do whatever it is you macho relics do before a suicide run. Entry point's El Vasu sewer grid. Fortified like hell itself. I can take out the sensors. Easy part. The rest? Not so easy. You'll be in the lion's mouth." Axon didn't smile. He never smiled. He moved to a drawer on his cluttered rig, rummaged through wires and tools, until he pulled out something small and sleek. A remote, with a mean gleam. The sewer level is patrolled and guarded by a legion of floating sentry drones, heavily armored and well-armed. "So, I'm giving you this. It's a candy gun," he says. "Fires magnetized control spikes, hit the middle drone in a trio, and I can hijack their brains, turn them on their buddies. It's like making killer bees sting each other." Drake whistled. "Sweet." Axon didn't smile. "You've got 2 minutes of control before their circuits melt. and it takes exactly 2 minutes for the gun to recharge. Miss a shot, and you'd better find cover, because they'll light you up like a Christmas tree from hell, and they don't run away or out of ammo. Drake blinked. Oh, it gets better, Axon said, with the glee of a man telling you your parachute's made of tissue paper. I loaded it with just enough candies to get you through the first level. Miss one shot, and you're swimming in gunfire. He tossed the candy gun to Rico, who caught it like it might explode. Thanks, Axon, Rico said, steadying himself. I'll owe you for this. Axon shrugged. If you make it out, there's no debt. Just stay the fuck out of my life. Rico nodded slowly. Fair enough. Drake clapped once. Good job, Axon. Shut the fuck up, Axon snapped. If I'm still breathing after this op, you can take your snake oil charm and crawl out of my damn solar system. Drake just laughed, low and dry. Yeah, that ain't happening. He turned to his vehicle. We better get suited up, Drake said. Rico hesitated. We? Drake lifted a set of armor like a man lifting his sins. Yeah, we. You think I packed 2 of everything for fun? Rico just stared. In case you missed the memo, there's only 2 gold cobras left in the galaxy. He grinned, wolf-like, as he slides the armor over his arms with a practiced ease. The click of the chest piece locking into place echoed like a gun cocking. Besides, Uncle Drake's got some lost time to make up for. All right, true champions of the cause, good to see you're still with us. We will see you after the break. You are watching StarPlanet, The Forgotten Chapters.
The new beef superior is here, only at Starry's. Wherever you are in the universe, there's always one place that feels like home. Starry's, eat in or eat out, but always eat the best.
The universe is a grand place, full of uncertainty. But the one thing you can be sure on is the greatest pizzas can always be found at Pistol Star Pizza, with over 500 trillion outlets throughout the universe. One thing is for sure, you'll never go hungry at Pistol Star Pizza. Pistol Star Pizza. At Pistol Star Pizza.
Welcome back. Let's continue. Have we got a beat on that goddamn patrol car yet? The voice came sharp and high and wet with frustration, like the squeal of brakes just before impact. Commissioner Randall Halden, a squat Italian man with a blood pressure problem and a cigar clenched between yellowing teeth, screamed into the communicator clutched in his hand like it had personally betrayed him. Around him, the glow of red and blue police lights strobed across the walls of Arcadia's skyline. The world outside their hovering squad cars, nothing but shadows and blurred concrete titans. The night shimmered with the hum of a dozen police vehicles, Arcadia's finest, all hunting a ghost. A reply buzzed in from Central Dispatch, cold and clinical. Negative, Commissioner. No trace of Unit 21. Patrol car is still dark. Halden's face flushed redder, a color approaching arterial. God damn it. That son of a bitch didn't just vanish into thin fucking air. As if summoned by the wrath of his words, his personal phone rang. He glanced down at the screen. Mayor Greystone. Shit. Halden whispered it like a prayer, already sweating harder. He thumbed the answer button. Hello, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir, Sir, We are getting the situation under control. I have... The sentence died in his throat. The entire fleet of police cruisers shuddered to a synchronized halt, engines humming like a hive gone still. Above them, descending from the clouds like silent predators, came the dark silhouettes of military hovercraft, the kind with classified plates and no patience for explanations. A blast of static shrieked through Halden's comlink. He flinched as the white noise bit at his ear, and then, underneath it, a voice. "You were told to stand down, Commissioner." Halden scowled. "Who the hell is this? This is a secure police frequency." Then he saw it. The side door of the lead military vehicle slid open with an ominous hiss. Standing there, lit by the chaotic pulse of police strobes, was General Morgan, a man carved from old war photos and classified nightmares. He had a communicator to his mouth and a look on his face like he'd seen the end of the world and chosen to survive it anyway. "This is a military operation now. Stand down, Commissioner. I won't repeat myself." Before Halden could spit fire, the mayor's voice came through the line, brittle and nervous. "This is Mayor Greystone. Who am I speaking to?" "General Morgan," came the reply, smooth as smoke. "United Terran Space Force, U.S. Military Special Forces. I suggest you tell your man to back the hell off before things go sideways in a very permanent way." Greystone tried to hold the line, tried to sound like the man in charge. "General, with all due respect, this is my city. This incident falls under police jurisdiction, and A phone rang in the background of the mayor's call. Not just any phone, the kind of phone that only rings when the chain of command shifts into orbit. Morgan smiled faintly. "You should answer that, Mr. Mayor. That'll be the president." "The freaking what?" Halden barked, eyes going wide. A beat passed, then muffled. "Mr. President?" "Oh, yes, sir. Immediately. Yes, Mr. President." Greystone returned to the line, his voice clipped and hollow. "Stand down, Commissioner." Halden's jaw dropped. "What?" "You are to assist General Morgan in any way he deems necessary. Do not interfere." "You can't be serious, Greystone." General Morgan didn't miss a beat. "Commissioner, I suggest you shut the fuck up. Have a coffee, a donut, and a smile. Because if you interfere again, my men have standing orders to remove you and your entire squad from existence. Enjoy your coffee." The door hissed shut like a judge's gavel. The military hovercraft peeled off into the Arcadian sky, leaving the police convoy adrift like children in a neon sea. Commissioner Halden sat back, face pale, breathing like a man who'd just escaped the jaws of something very old and very hungry. Inside the lead craft, Morgan moved with the calm assurance of a man who'd survived assassinations, alien wars, and congressional hearings. He stepped into the cockpit, sat in the co-pilot's chair, and stared out into the night sky. His communicator buzzed. "Caller ID. President." Morgan answered with the calm of a man used to giving bad news. "Mr. President." The voice on the other end was tight, wound like a noose. "Can you promise me this won't spiral, General?" "Yes, sir. I can guarantee there will be no further incidents on American soil." "And how can you be so sure?" Morgan didn't blink. "We know who he was after, and I believe he's already found him." The president's voice dropped to a whisper. "And who the hell did he find?" Morgan stared out the window at the sprawl of Arcadia below. The city looked like a battlefield waiting to happen. "The only brother he has left." His tone was quiet, but it carried weight, like a coffin lid closing. The sound was sharp, final. It echoed through the warehouse like a gunshot fired inside a cathedral. Clack, thunk. The final power cell slid into place. Rico, clad in black, ultramarine armor, polished like obsidian and just as cold, stood alone in the pale, flickering light. His fingers moved with deliberate finality, loading the Pinpine 80 caliber Rainmaker, a shoulder-mounted laser cannon big enough to gut a tank and vaporize what was left. The sound it made when it locked into place was mechanical, yes, but it sounded strangely alive, like the machine knew what it was about to do. With a low hum, Rico swung the weapon up to the black orb resting on his shoulder, the void carrier. The cannon dissolved into the darkness, sucked inside like it had never existed. No sparks, no flash, just absence. Behind him, Axon's fingers danced across his keyboards, the glow from the screens painting his gaunt face in sickly greens and blues. He looked like a mad puppeteer in some cybernetic dream, strings of data trailing from his wrists instead of flesh. To Rico's left, across the floor, Drake knelt beside the infantry spawners. He flipped a switch. The spawners hissed to life with a low whine, lifting off the ground as purple lights flickered and snapped along their edges like electric veins. Then came a column of light descending from the sky, that eerie violet shaft of power that poured down onto the metal-stained ground like judgment from some alien god. It illuminated the floor in a perfect circle, a false promise of salvation carved in ultraviolet. Drake stood slowly, his own armor catching the violet glow. Rico approached him from behind, footsteps quiet. The warehouse smelled of ozone and cold steel. "Well," Drake said, his voice softer than usual, "this is nostalgic." Rico raised an eyebrow. "Bringing back memories?" Drake let out a low chuckle, the kind of laugh that only comes from someone who's seen too much and slept too little. "Yeah, nothing like having your atoms scrambled and launched into the goddamn ether. Doesn't suck at all." Rico's tone shifted, just a touch. "This is probably a one-way trip." Drake's eyes didn't leave the light. "Yeah," he whispered. "I know." The words seemed to come from somewhere lower than lungs. "You don't have to do this," says Rico. "No," Drake replied. He turned, loading a power cell into a weapon with a slow, reverent click. "No, I don't." He looked at Rico, eyes like two old bullets. "You ready?" Rico smiled the way only dead men do. "Yes. Yes, I am, Drake." From the nest of wires and flickering screens, Axon's voice rose like a snake in the grass. "Will you two relics go commit suicide already? I'm getting hungry." They both turned to glance back at him, framed in the electric glow like a man made of code and caffeine. "Thanks for this, Axon," Rico said, his tone sincere. Drake pointed a gloved finger. "You keep being a smart-ass, Axon, and when I get back, I'm gonna beat your ass." Axon didn't smile. He just glanced at them and said, "If you actually survive this, Drake, I'll let you, out of respect." A long pause. Then Rico smirked, shaking his head. "One of you better say no homo real quick." "That was weak, Rico," Drake muttered, though there was a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. "You were never good at jokes." No, I wasn't," Rico said as he turned back toward the light. "Let's go do something I am good at." "Yeah," Drake said, rolling his neck like a prize fighter stepping into the ring. "Let's go do some killing." They stepped into the violet light. For a moment, their bodies shimmered, outlines glitching, pixels at the edge of reality. Their bodies twitched, like the flicker of a dying screen, and then they were gone. Projected, their atoms dissolved into purple static, flung through quantum echoes toward the gaping mouth of hell. Far away, in El Vasu, a cold wind begins to blow. And with that, true champions of the cause, Chapter 3 has came to a close. I'd love to know what you think. Does the steroid-fueled 80s action hero nostalgia still ooze from this story? Let your thoughts be known in the comments. I truly look forward to reading them. I thank you for spending this time with us, true champions of the cause. Until next time, please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit enterstarplanet.com for more. Until our paths cross again, I have been your host, Arius Vallo. See you in the shadows, my love.